Today we're going to be discussing the invoicing feature. We're going to do a big deep dive into that. Just give me 1 second while I get everyone else in. All right, we're going to start the screen sharing and we're going to start the presentation. All right, so this webinar is going to be hosted by me, Jeremy, but we also have our presenter going to be he's Prashant Mittal. He's the product manager for invoicing and payments. He works with the development team. We also do have Faiz here and Ahmad, who work on the support side with payments and invoices. So today we're going to do a quick introduction to get to know the team. We're going to talk about how to get started with invoices, the difference between using a one-time payment invoice versus a reoccurring invoice template, how to receive card payments on invoices, customizing those settings, creating an invoice, and we'll do a live demonstration with Prashant guiding us through the ins and outs of the invoice feature and how it can be utilized by your clients so they can adopt this feature. Best practices for receiving on-time payments with invoices and other frequently asked questions. All right, so before we dive into it, Prashant, would you like to say a few words to everyone?
Yeah, hey everyone. This is Prashant Mittal. I'm based out of India here, and I'm currently working as a product manager for payments and invoices. And I've recently worked on the updates that we rolled out regarding the recurring payments and invoices, the subscriptions page that we are able to support, the multiple quantities that we have recently released in beta, and all of the features related to payments and invoices. So yeah, I'm excited to have a deep dive into the feature of what we have currently and what is in our roadmap and what are the features and enhancements that we already plan to do here. So yeah, happy to take it from here.
Thank you. I'm gonna disconnect live share and you are good to start sharing your screen. So before so we can go through the information.
Got it. So yeah, so I can start off with setting the agenda. So we'll start with how to get started with invoicing. What are the requirements to get started with invoicing? Then we have two functionalities, one to create a one-time invoice, as well as to create a recurring template, which will basically send out invoices at scheduled frequencies. How do you start receiving card payments on invoices? How to customize default terms in invoices, like how do you select the default terms that appear on all of your invoices? How do you get started creating an invoices? And we also have a feature for receiving auto payments, like you can enable auto payments into the invoicing feature and you can always receive all of your payments on time. So yeah, that's the quick agenda. So getting started, how to get started with invoicing. So it's really simple. You just have to add your business info, add your logo and terms and conditions, just define all of those settings. Once you are into the invoice builder, you have to select the contact, the product. If you have any necessary taxes that you want to add to and offer any discounts, you can allow those. And if you are setting up a recurring template, you can also set up auto payments for a recurring template. And once you set up auto payments, you are ready to accept all your payments on time. So yeah, this is the simple flow to get started with invoicing. Now we can cover the basic difference between what do we mean by a one-time invoice and what do we mean by a recurring template. So basically, in case of a one-time invoice, you are sending the invoice to the customer only for a single instance and it does not repeat automatically. So you are sending it today and it does not repeat automatically and you are just done with a one-time off payment. Whereas if you schedule a recurring template, this means that you have, let's say you have a use case like you want to send an invoice on the first of every month or on a weekly basis or on a bi-weekly basis, then you don't have to create all of the invoices manually again and again and send it out to your customer. You can simply create a recurring template, schedule it, enable auto payments and accept all of the payments on time. So yeah, that's where the recurring template use case comes in. Now, to accept card payments, you have to connect with Stripe. This is mandatory if you want to accept card payments. However, if you want to accept only manual payments, like you want to record your payments manually, and want to accept via bank transfers or cash or check or any other method, then this is not mandatory. But to enable auto payments, this is a must. So we highly recommend you to use Stripe Connect for invoicing feature. How do you save terms and conditions on invoicing? So we have the invoice settings button here in the invoices page. So here, as soon as you click, you can define all of the invoicing terms and conditions that has to by default appear on every invoice that you create or in every invoice that gets sent out from the system. So yeah, from here you can set the default terms and conditions for your business. Creating a new invoice, it is simple. You have a plus new button on the invoicing page. You just have to click there. It asks you whether you want to create a one-time invoice or a recurring template. And as we discussed right now, if you want to send it off one time only, you click on new invoice. That is a one-time invoice. And if you want to set a recurring template and send out invoices automatically without getting the headache on yourself, so you just create a recurring template and it will automatically send out the invoices for you. Now, to create a recurring template, you have to define the frequency settings. This is the place where you define that whether the invoice needs to be sent out on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis or a monthly basis or all of those things. So here, as you're able to see, you have the how often section, the start date and the end option, like when do you want to end the recurring template. And we also have this cool feature to allow invoices, sending invoices X days in advance. Like you can say that, okay, I want my invoice to be due on 1st of October, but I want the customer to be reminded 1 day in advance for that. So you can enable all of those. Excuse me. So you can define all of those settings here. So this is something cool that we have built in here. And to receive on-time payments, right when you schedule the recurring template, you get a modal like this, where on the left side, you see the customer details, like what is the email address and phone number on which you are sending the invoice. And on the right, you get an option to enable auto payments. Like you can manage your auto payment, turn it off. But if you want to accept payments on time every time, then we highly recommend you to turn it on. And herein you have three options. One is the customer card. This gives you the flexibility of sending out the invoice, sending it to the end customer. They pay the first invoice via the card of their choice, let's say a MasterCard or an American Express card. And the card which they use to pay the first invoice, the same card is repeatedly used for every instance of the invoice that gets sent out. If you have any saved cards on file for the customer that you want to send out the invoice to, then you will be able to see all of the saved cards in here. Or let's say your customer is giving you the card details and you want to enter the new card details and get started with sending out the invoice and charging that new card for every instance, then you can select the new card options. So this gives you a highly flexible system of accepting card payments and automatically managing them without the need for you to worry about every payment or every invoice payment that is due. So this is really cool if you have Stripe connected and you want to receive on-time payments. So yeah, with that said, I think it will be better if we get into a setup demonstration, like a live demonstration, that will really help to understand that how all of this gets into flow. So as you can see, this is the invoicing page that I have in here. I have an invoice in the draft mode, but before getting started on the invoicing page, this is the all invoices page where I see all of my invoices that are generated into the system. On the top, I have two information, how many payments are in due and how many payments are overdue. This only consists your live data. This does not include the test data that gets into. So before getting started with invoicing, there are some basic functionalities that you need to enable to get started with invoicing. So the business info that appears on every invoice that you create, it lies in here in the location settings that you have. So when you go to settings, so as you can see, I have my company logo enabled in here. This is by default the logo that we select for the invoicing feature. So this is the logo which will appear in for the every invoice that you create from the system. So to make sure to update the latest logo that you have in here. The company address that you have in here is by default the address that gets printed out on every invoice that you create from the system. So just make sure that you always keep this information up to date, so as the same information replicates on every invoice that you create. Going back to this page, before getting started with invoicing, you can also add in products. So as you can see, I have two products added in here. I'm selling an iPhone 14 and I have a tree pruning service as well. So if like to get started with adding a product, or you can import your products from existing products from Stripe as well. To get started with creating a new product, you can simply create a new product, add in the product name, the description, the type of product that you are creating, and all of those information. So I've already added those two products here. I've configured two prices for them, and they are appearing for me here. Also, if you want to add any taxes to the products, to the invoices that you send out, you must configure the tax settings in the tax settings page here. So as you can see, I have a tax enabled, which is a service tax at the rate of 5% in here. And you can add in tax by clicking the add tax option. It asks you for the name of the tax, what do you want to name it, the rate at which you want to charge the tax, and the description and the ID number are optional for your own references if you want to have to. And if you want to accept card payments, as I mentioned earlier, you must have Stripe connected. So I have got my Stripe connected in here. If you don't have Stripe connected, you can simply connect in here by clicking on the connect option. It will take you to the Stripe portal, ask you for your login credentials. Once you are able to log in here and Stripe is connected, you are ready to accept card payments on your invoices as well. So once you have all of the business information configured, you have products added, you have tax settings configured, and you have connected Stripe for accepting card payments, and you have defined the terms and conditions as well. Let's say you want to enter the terms and conditions as these are my default terms in here. So as soon as you enter the terms and conditions in here, this will by default save and appear on every invoice that you create in the system. So let's get started with creating a new invoice in here. So as soon as I click in new here, it asks me for two options as we discussed earlier. One is if I want to create a one-time invoice, or if I want to create a new recurring template, that is, which will automatically create and send out invoices from the system. So let's get started with creating a new invoice in here. So as soon as I click to create a new invoice, it takes me to the builder view of the invoice. And as I mentioned, the business information is the same information that I had put in the company details, the company settings that I discussed previously. So as you can see, the default terms that I mentioned, they're appearing at the bottom in here. The logo, company logo, which I had put in, it is appearing here. The address is appearing in here. And we generate an invoice number by default. This is a sequential number that goes on for every invoice that you generate from the system. And you have the issue date and the due date, that is after 14 days from the issue date by default, although you can change the due date if you want to by clicking in here. Now to get started, you have to add the customer that you want to send the invoice to. Let's say I want to send the invoice to Jeremy. So I select here Jeremy, the contact details of Jeremy. Now I select the products in here for which I want to send the invoice to Jeremy. So one thing to note here is when we are creating a one-time invoice in here, only you can select in here one-time products. Recurring products cannot be selected in this space. So here you can click to add a product. So as you can see, the tree pruning service was a recurring product. It was a service-based product which I had created. So it is not appearing in here. It is only showing the one-time products. I select iPhone 14 as the product I want to sell. Let's say I want to sell the 64 GB. I click on save and this gets added in here. Now, this shows the add tax option. If you want to configure tax, you can add multiple products if you want to send the invoice for. You can again select in the second product or the third product, and this will include all of the products in the invoice. So let's say we want to send an invoice for iPhone 14 as of now. Now, if you want to add the taxes that you configured initially will start showing up here along with their rates. Let's say I want to add the service tax in here. I just enable service tax and click on save. So as you can see, it says that, okay, 5% service tax is added and it adds the value in here. Now, if you want to add discounts to your invoice as well, here is the discount meter. You can simply type in or drag this view to select the percentage discount that you want to offer. Let's say I want to offer 5% discount. I can select that, okay, offer 5% discount to the customer. So once you have configured all of these details, like added the client that you want to send the invoice to, the product for which you want to send the invoice for, and added the necessary taxes or discounts if you want to add into, You can preview your invoice, or you can save the invoice. And at the top, this is the new invoice name, which is the name for the invoice by default. You can click in here and edit the invoice name as well. Let's say I name it demo invoice. So you can click in here and save this invoice as well. So it will save your invoice details. And let's say you want to send it later, you can anytime refer to it back and send it at that particular time. Here you can also preview this invoice to get a preview of how it would appear for your end customer as well. So if I click to preview this invoice, so as you can see, this appears in here. So this is how the invoice will appear for the end customer. So you can make sure that it appears as you want to make it appear for the end customer. So as you can see, I added the contact details, the product details, the tax settings, and the discount in here. So this is how the invoice would look like for the customer. So the preview option helps you with that. Now, once you have previewed and made sure that you are okay with the invoice settings and all of the information that you have put in here, you are ready to send the invoice to the customer. As soon as you click to send the invoice, it asks you whether you want to send it both on email and text, only email or only text. So you can select according to your preference whether you want to notify the end customer on both the channels or on a single channel. Let's say I want to notify Jeremy on both of the channels. Now I have additional options in here where I am able to select whether this invoice needs to be sent in test mode or live mode. Usually when you are sending this invoices to your customers, you are definitely sending it in live mode, and that is what the default state in is here. But if you want to test it out for yourself first, then you can send it in live mode by toggling off the toggle here. But since I'm sending it to the customer, Jeremy here, I'm sending it in live mode, and I click here to send the invoice. And as soon as I click to send the invoice gets sent to Jeremy in here. And in the list view, you can see the demo invoice name that I had configured. The customer name appears in here, the amount and the status. It shows that it is due in 14 days. Now, Jeremy must have received the invoice, and he can click on the pay option that he has on the invoice, enter the card details. And as soon as I receive the payment, the status would be changed to paid. So there are a couple of actions as well which you want to perform. Let's say if the end customer is asking for the link of the invoice, he has forgotten where the invoice is, or he has not received or whatsoever, you can copy the link of the invoice and send it to the customer. So as soon as they open the link of the invoice, they are able to see the invoice and make the payment in here. So as you can see here, they have the pay option. As soon as they click on the pay option, they can enter the card details and click on pay to pay the required amount. Also, they can download a PDF of the invoice for their reference as well. Let's go back to in here in the list view. So this is the utility of the copy link. You can also download a PDF of the invoice for your reference or for sending it to your customers as well. Or if you have created some draft invoices and you want to clean your list view in here, so you can do all of those things as well. Like you can delete the draft invoices that you have in place. Let's say the customer did not pay you via card method, and they came to your store and they paid you by cash or by check or some other methods which are different from card payments. So you have received the payment for your invoice, and for your stats to remain accurate, that is this payment which is actually not due now because you have received the payment by cash. So we highly recommend you to mark this invoice as paid. So we have a cool feature in here. As soon as you go into the invoice, you have the 3 dots option in here, and you have an option to record payment in here. As soon as I click to record payment, it asks me whether I want to record this payment by charging a card or I want to record manually. If you have the card details or you have a saved card on file for the customer, for in this case here, because Jeremy has not paid me till yet, I don't have a saved card for Jeremy. But if you have a saved card for your customer on file, those cards will appear in here. Also, you can select the new card and enter the new card details and charge the customer on that particular card. But since the customer has paid me by manual method, like the customer has paid me by cash, so I don't want to charge the card here. I just want to record the payment which I have received by cash. So what I do is I click on the three dots, I click here in record payment, and I choose to record payment manually because I have received the payment in cash here. As soon as I choose to record payment manually, it asks me for the mode of payment. So as you can see here, it says that cash, card, check, bank transfer, or other. So since I have, you can select any of the method that you have. And since I have received the payment by cash, let's say, so I can add in notes here by reference, like for future referencing, I can add in notes here that Jeremy at paid at my store, let's say. So you add in the notes here and you are able to submit, and you can say that, okay, I have received the payment for this invoices and now I want to mark it as paid. So it says that, okay, payment is complete when I click on done, and you can see here the demo invoice has been marked as paid, and the information appears in here that it is paid on September 29 and 12:25 p.m., which is the time according to the time zone that I have specified in the company settings in here in the settings. So this invoice is marked as paid now. Now, let's say you have you're selling a service and you want to send this invoice, like I want to send this invoice to Jeremy on the first of every month. Now, Jeremy is a retained customer of mine, and it is pretty hectic for me and cumbersome for me to send this invoice manually to Jeremy on the first of every month. So I have an easy way out here. I can simply create a recurring template and the system will send out the invoice for me on the first of every month for Jeremy. Also, I can enable auto payments in here so that once Jeremy pays in for the first invoice with his MasterCard or American Express card, then I'm able to charge the same card automatically on the first of every month. So this is a whole lot of convenience for me. So we can look into creating a new recurring template now because I want to send Jeremy the invoice on the first of every month. So this time, let's say I want to create a new recurring template. So I land up in the invoice builder, and the only difference I see in here is that I have a frequency settings section in here where I have to define that, okay, when should the system send out the invoice, or what is the frequency at which they should send out the invoice. Now, as soon as I click in how often, you have this by minute and by hours. We do it for our internal testing, but you will be able to see the daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly options in here. Let's say I want to send out the invoice to Jeremy on the first of every month. So monthly is the frequency that I'm looking at. As soon as I click on monthly, it asks me, when do you want to send out the invoice? Now there are two options in here. Either I can go by a specific date in here that, okay, I want to send the invoice on specific date, or I can go by a specific day that, okay, I want to send Jeremy the invoice on the first Monday of every month. So I have both options in here. If I want to send it on the first Monday of every month, then I select in here monthly on first Monday of every 1 month. But if I want to send the invoice on the first date of every month, then I select the option in here date. I see all of the dates in the month till 28th and the last day. Because I want to send the invoice on the first to Jeremy, I select the first date of every 1 month. So this perfectly defines the frequency which I am looking for invoicing Jeremy. Now I define the start date in here. Let's say I want to start from today only, right? From October 1, Jeremy needs to receive this invoice. So I can define maybe that, okay, send this invoice starting from today only, or I can even define that start this from October 1. It will mean the same in here. And in the end option, it gives you the option that when do you want to end the recurring template? Do you want to never end it? Like, is Jeremy a lifetime customer of mine and he will never leave me and I want to invoice him every month on the first of every month? Then I select in never here that I don't want to end the recurring template. If I want to end the recurring template, let's say by the end of this year, after this year, I don't want to invoice Jeremy, then I can simply select by, and I can define the end date as, let's say, 31st of December. So as soon as I define this setting, you can see in here the information that, okay, first invoice will be due on October 1 and will be sent on October 1. Also, we have a cool feature in here to send invoice X days in advance. Now, I want to make sure that Jeremy never misses out on the invoices that I sent to him. So I can say that, okay, send Jeremy in the invoice 1 day in advance so that he is notified well ahead in time and he has enough time to pay me for the invoice well in time so that I don't lose out on any payment. So you can simply select in one here. And as you can see, it changes that, okay, first invoice will be due on October 1 and will be sent on September 30th only. Now this looks good to me because this is the exact configuration that I wanted. Also, there are like you can define the frequency on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, or a yearly basis. Completely depends on the use case, but we have all of the uh, functionality in here. You can define the frequency on monthly, daily, weekly, or yearly basis, and you can also define either the date or the day, and also which particular day, or let's say the second Monday of every month, or all of those settings. So all of the frequency settings can be defined in from here. Now, the below the invoice builder view, you can see these are my default terms which I added in at the initial. They appear in here as well because they'll appear on every invoice that I create. Now I again select the client as Jeremy and I add the product in here. Now, if you are creating a recurring template, you will see both one-time as well as recurring products in here. So I see both the tree pruning service as well as the iPhone 14 product. So you can select either of them. Now I am giving Jeremy the tree pruning service. So I select in here tree pruning. I have both of the prices. Is he taking a monthly base, the pruning service on a monthly basis or a weekly basis? I select in monthly here and I click on save. So this is a $50 price that I'm charging in Jeremy. We can again configure the taxes if I want to add to, or if I want to offer any discount. But right now, I don't want to offer Jeremy any discounts. I want to charge him $50 only. So I don't offer any discount. And I see that, okay, I have added the products. If I want to add another product in here, I can add another item. Let's say Jeremy is buying an iPhone from me as well. So I add in here. But so all of those products get added in here. And if you want to delete any product, you can simply click on the cross icon in here and it removes the product from the list that you see in here. So after defining all of these settings, I see that, okay, it looks fine to me. I've defined the frequency settings. My business logo is here. Business information is here. I've defined the client and I've added the products and the amount as well. Now I'm good to go. I can either save this recurring template for future purposes that I want to revisit it later and start scheduling it, or maybe make some changes into it. So I can save it here. It will be in draft mode and it will start appearing in the list. Or if I want to schedule it right away and start sending invoices to Jeremy from the 1st of October only, I click on schedule. Now here's the little difference in here. When I schedule a recurring template, it gives me both the information on which, like the email address and the mobile number for Jeremy on which he will be receiving the invoice on. I can similarly select whether on both channels, email and text, only on email or only on text. I have the payment mode test or live toggle in here. I want to again send it in live mode. And here on the right, I have a cool feature to enable auto payments, like never missing out on any payment that I want to receive in here. So this toggle is on by default. If I don't want to enable auto payments and I want to rely on Jeremy only to remember that, okay, he has to pay me, then I toggle it off. But we highly recommend you to enable auto payments in case you never want to miss out on any payment. So let's say I turn the toggle on. Now it asks me for 3 options in here. One is the customer card, one is the saved card, and one is a new card. So as I mentioned previously, customer card is the feature where I send the first invoice to Jeremy, wait for Jeremy to pay for the first invoice, and whichever card Jeremy uses to pay for the first invoice, the same card I use for every subsequent invoice that I create. So basically, the first invoice gets sent out on 1st of October to Jeremy. Jeremy pays me on 1st of October by his American Express card. And after 1st of October, the next billing, which would happen on 1st of November, I would automatically charge Jeremy's card. And from then on, I will keep on charging the same card. If there is an error, let's say the credit card of Jeremy has expired or something like that, Jeremy would be notified. I would also be notified with the payment link. Jeremy can pay via another card, and the same card would be used again from the subsequent transactions. So this gives you a lot of flexibility to leave it up to the end customer. Whichever card they want to choose, they can choose, and the same card you have on file, and now you start charging the same card for every instance of invoice that you create. So this is the kind of option that customer card gives you in there. If you have any saved cards, so I don't have any saved cards for now for Jeremy, but if you have any saved cards on file, they will start appearing in here. You can see which card you want to charge to, and you can select that card, and you will start charging that card right from the 1st October occurrence. You don't have to wait for even the first invoice to be paid by Jeremy. Like from the first occurrence only, I will start charging on the specified card, or I can always enter new card details which Jeremy has shared with me over phone or text, and I can type in the details here, and I will start charging the card from 1st of October here only. So this is how you are able to schedule. Let's say I schedule this recurring in template that I want to, and I want to start sending invoice to Jeremy. I want to give him the option that, okay, pay for the first invoice because I don't have any saved card right now. But once he pays for the first invoice, I will have one saved card because he has paid for my first invoice, and I will use the same card to charge him over and over again. If you have any confusion, there is a learn more about this. Like you can simply click in here, you will be redirected to our help article, which contains all information about auto payments. How does it work? What kind of notifications you are able to receive, how to manage auto payments and all of those. So if you have any doubts over there, you can always visit to the help article for more clarity. Now, since I have defined the details, I've selected the channel, I want to send it in live mode, I want to enable auto payments, I want to give Jeremy the first option to pay for the first invoice, and I'll charge the same card from the next occurrence. I click on schedule in here, and this brings me back to the list view in here, and you can see the new recurring template which I have scheduled. This status is in schedule. The previous recurring template which I had created is in draft mode. So this scheduled basically means that no invoice has been sent out till date, but it is scheduled to be sent out in the future. When it is actually sent out, it will change to active, and when all of the invoices have been sent according to the criteria that you have defined, it will change to complete. So this is how the list view changes, like the status changes in here. Now let's say if you want like the customer has denied for your service, or if you want to end the recurring, like you don't want to send out any future invoices, you can always click on actions. You can end the recurring template because you don't want to send out. Jeremy has denied that, hey, I don't want your service now, please stop sending me invoices. So you can select end in here. It will ask you that whether you want to end in the invoice. This will end the recurring template effective from this date, and no future invoices will be sent or created. So right now I don't want to, so I click on cancel. Also, if there is an ongoing recurring template, let's say even if it is in the active state, and I want to make some modifications to it. Jeremy has said that, hey, you are charging me on-time payments, I will pay you manually, please don't charge me automatically. So I can come in here, I can click on the manage auto payment section in here. I can always turn this toggle off if I don't want to charge automatically now. Or even if I want to charge automatically and I have got a saved card now, a different card, or Jeremy has provided me with a new card details that, okay, don't charge this particular card. I've not got any balance in that, and charge this new card. So I can come over again in here. I can enter the new card details and click on update, and that will actually update all of the card information that which needs to be charged for every occurrence of the invoice. So yeah, so once you are able to modify all of those settings, you are able to define that, okay, this particular card needs to be charged, or this particular card needs to be charged. So yes, and apart from that, all of the invoices that get sent out, I think it will be better if we shift to another location which has some data. Once you are using all of the invoicing features in here, you will be able to see all of the invoices in the all invoices list view. So this is how all of the invoices will start appearing. So every invoice that you create in the recurring template, they will start appearing in the all invoices section in here. And any invoice that is created as part of the recurring template uh, will have a tag associated as recurring. So this basically means that this invoice was created via a recurring template which I had scheduled, and this is a part of that recurring template. And you can see in here different statuses are there, that okay, this invoice has gotten into overdue, or this invoice has been marked as paid, or things like that. So all of those invoices, you can see all of the status of the invoices and all of those in details in here. And let's suppose you see an invoice which has been scheduled via a recurring template, and you want to know the source of the recurring template. That okay, I get to know that okay, this was created from a recurring template, but what was the frequency at which it was created? Or I want to know the source, or when did I schedule that? So basically, I can click on view recurring template in here, and it takes me to the recurring template inside that. So this is the source from where it was created. I can see in here. Also, it gives me the show invoice history option in here. So as soon as I click on show invoice history, I get a right panel in here. And this mentions, because I created this as a daily invoice, this mentions all of the dates on which the invoice was sent out and the amount for that invoice and the status of that invoice. So as I can see that 22nd August invoice is paid, whereas 24th August invoice has been marked as overdue. I did not receive payments for those. So this is something which you can keep a track of all invoices that were sent as a part of the recurring template, and you are able to get a holistic view of all of the invoices that were sent out and the statuses of all of those. So yeah, this is how we are able to see all of the invoicing information in the list view as well. In the recurring template, you have a details section in here where you are able to click on details, and you can see that, okay, this template has no invoice which is sent. First invoice is due on October 4th. So this template has basically not sent out any invoice yet, but it is yet to send out the first invoice on October 4th. So once you are up with creating all of those recurring templates, you have some invoices which are created from the system. So they will start appearing in the all invoices section. And this page is the recurring template section, which will basically provide you a view of the sources of recurring templates that you are creating. Basically, each of this template is creating some child invoices in a defined scheduled frequency, and they are sending out individual invoices to the customer as per the definition which has been defined inside them. So yeah, this are the basics. Obviously, you have filters in here at the top. You can come filter by the statuses of recurring templates. If you go in the all invoices page as well, you can start filter in here as well. You get a summary of the payments in due and payments in overdue. And you can define that, okay, filter all of the invoices from this date or this date. And you can also search for a specific invoice in here as well. So yeah, this is something which we have built in invoicing. And as of now, there is a default template by which the invoice gets sent out, like ability to customize all of the notifications that get sent out, the auto payment information, the thank you message that gets sent out. So there are default templates, but we have that in the roadmap for the coming quarter. So basically, you will be able to customize all of the default notifications that get sent out from the invoice. And also, after using this invoicing functionality, if there is any particular feedback regarding the same, so there is a send feedback option in here on the invoicing page. You can always click on it. It will ask you what feedback, and we closely monitor all of the feedback that comes in. So after using this feature, we would really like to know how you feel about it, and we are really eager to have all of those feedback into our bucket as well. So yeah, I think that's it, Jeremy. I think we can move over to the Q&A, if any.
Thank you. Before we get into the Q&A, I do want to go through a couple of slides really quick. Give me 1 second. Of course, the next thing is picking out the next webinar. If you guys scan this QR code, it'll take you to the training feedback survey section, where I would greatly appreciate any feedback you have in regards to this webinar and any content you want covered in a future webinar. I would love any insight into what you guys as agency owners are experiencing, anything you guys have questions about or want more information of. This webinar will be uploaded and recorded on YouTube in the training webinars channel. So it's a whole channel designated specifically to all the webinars that TNK Training and Knowledge has been providing for you guys. So this slideshow also has the help articles in relation to everything that Prashant has been discussing in terms of creating invoices, creating recurring invoices, auto payments on them, use cases for helping you to get your clients to adopt this feature, as well as if you have any issues with using the invoicing feature, we do have support 24/7. If you're an agency admin and you're on the desktop app, you can just click on the little blue question mark. It'll take you to a live chat with one of our chat specialists in support, and they'll be able to answer troubleshoot any issues that you might experience with it. The phone support is also 24/7. The number is 1-888-732-4197. We have the Facebook community where if you have any questions, maybe another agency owner has experienced the same issue or has a workaround or has another solution that might benefit you, always reaching out to the Facebook community is the best thing, as well as the feedback option that Prashant has showed you inside the account. It's located in the payments section in your location level at the top right of the screen. It just says feedback. That feedback will go directly to Prashant as the product manager for payments and invoicing. So you get to know the man behind the curtain. He's the one who actually handles all of the inquiries. I'm going to send you the link for both the survey as well as the additional resources right now. And we are good to go into the Q&As. I think, Prashant, we had a couple of questions already come in previously. I'm going to pause the screen share so that I can bring up the chat. We had one regarding from Charles and Linda Musselwhite. They want to know if they were able to use merchant accounts and or the automated clearinghouse with invoice payment collection.
Yes, so this is not available as of now, but this is in our roadmap and this is coming in the coming quarter. So basically we are in the progress for enabling different merchant accounts as well as ACH payments as well. So we are aware of this and we have this in plan for the coming quarter.
Woohoo! Come, you just got some insight into what's getting developed currently. All right. And then Jeremy, I think you have a couple of different issues you're experiencing with invoices.
Yeah, I don't know if it's easier. Can I share my screen and just kind of show the example?
Go for it.
Okay, let's see.
I think I'm aware of what you are going to discuss, Jeremy. I think I've seen your Loom video.
Do you want me to go over it or I mean,
I'm already aware of what you are going to discuss. So I think it is the same issue that you pointed out in the support ticket. I think the service tax and the card processing fee tax that you were mentioning too, they were not, they were getting truncated in the preview that you were seeing. Also the product description, I think it was breaking between a word and the terms and conditions, you were not able to enter line breaks in those. Am I correct here?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so the two of them we have actually fixed. You will, if you check right now, you will be able to see that word does not break in the product description, and you are able to see as of now. When I shared this, when I was sharing my screen, so if you enter the tax details as well, so they will also not get truncated there. So those two things we have fixed. But
those are my biggest, probably.
Yes, and regarding the third request that you put in to enable line breaks in the terms and conditions, so that you're able to put in line breaks and all of those information appear in after the line breaks, that is something that we need to work more development on, because we need to get a rich text editor in there, which is not currently in there. So
so my use case scenario, I guess, is because I have two different types of customers, and it's just a little bit nicer, you know, to be able to break the two different messages up instead of combine them. So I'm able to, designate the, the text to the specific customer, a little bit easier. So that, I mean, if that makes sense, that's why it's just.
That definitely makes sense. And like we have it in our list. It's just that we are working on a couple of pressing items, like we are introducing coupons as well in order form. So we are currently in development for that. And we have a couple of items related to, as we said, that we are working on enabling ACH payments and other payment gateway options as well. So we are also exploring those opportunities, as well as we recently rolled out the subscriptions feature as well. So we want to enable the user to control all of those subscriptions from within high level only. So like these are some of the things that have been in request. So, but I completely get your point, and that is in our list. So probably in the coming month, or definitely in the coming quarter, you will be able to see the rich text editor. So not only the line breaks, but you will be able to get your text italic, bold, and all of those customized formatting that you would like to have.
Nice.
So
And then
that is something. Yeah.
And then I understand. I mean, most invoices have a containment of the page. Basically, they can't. So I mean, I understand not having too much text and limit it a little bit. But a small suggestion is I could see there's spaces up top and maybe even down below that can be utilized a little bit more with the just to have to maximize the space on the invoice in case, because sometimes I got multiple products or services, and it's just better for me and the customer to be able to itemize the description a little bit more of what they're getting done. That way,
Yeah.
need to bring,
yeah. I get your point, and adding to that, we also have in the roadmap to like you can create your own, like as of now, there is only one template design that is existing in invoicing, but we want to add more. We want to provide you the functionality to define your own templates as well. So once that is in, I think that problem, because you can customize and create your own templates according to the size. Let's say you are creating multiple products, adding multiple products. So you can create a template which adds multiple products, and those spacings are adjusted in that invoice. And you can create a different template in which you are only adding one product, and you can leave some margins at the top and the bottom. Nice. So we have that in the roadmap as well. So probably in the coming quarter, we are working hard to get as much updates as possible. So probably I'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you. I have one more follow-up question to that. As of right now, because I haven't tested a live way to use the invoices yet, I'm just curious what all gets transferred over to QuickBooks when we have our QuickBooks synced up. Is would the itemized description and title of the service, for instance, where all that kind of get recreated into QuickBooks, or what goes over to QuickBooks, I guess?
You want the functionality to sync the invoices that are in high level with QuickBooks, or you want to import the invoices that are already existing in QuickBooks into high level?
Well, I don't know. Both would actually be really cool. I was asking the first question, but I like the last question too, or the last option as well.
Okay, as per my hypothesis initially, like this was my hypothesis, I can be wrong in that, but I think the major use case would be there would be some invoices existing in QuickBooks already, and users would like to import them into high level and start using them from high level within. So QuickBooks integration is something that we also want to work upon along with a zero sync as well. Yeah. So yeah, that is something which we have planned for, but probably this will come after ACH payments and multiple payment gateways, and the customizing notifications, business info, customizing the templates, all of those. I think that will be higher in priority. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nasa here.
Yeah, so Jeremy, to answer your question, whatever QuickBooks API support, we will do that.
Okay.
Right. So that we are just constrained by what QuickBooks can support. So if the API supports itemizing and giving all the details that we do have, we will definitely push all that information into QuickBooks. Okay, so as of right now, we don't yet have when we create an invoice in high level, nothing goes over to QuickBooks at the moment, or? Yeah, at the moment it is not, but as Prashant said, we do have it in the roadmap. We definitely want to integrate with QuickBooks, Xero, and maybe a couple of more integrations that Prashant is
FreshBooks
running
maybe
down.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, FreshBooks and just one more. So yeah, so we do have that in the roadmap definitely. And depending on what APIs the integrating partner would give, we will be able to support all those.
I mean, I think the only reason why is because as I make the switch to start doing invoices in high level, I have all this past data in QuickBooks, and to be able to still run, reports in QuickBooks, combined with the new invoicing numbers and everything, would be, useful. So.
Yeah, we definitely, I mean, a lot of our customers have asked for that, and Prashant has it in the roadmap. So to answer your question, if QuickBooks supports it, we will do it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And now you get to meet the man behind your tickets as well. Angie, you did have a question to go through a walkthrough of the recurring payment setup for scheduling and setting out education work. Were you, did you want to show us what issue you were coming into so that we can troubleshoot?
Okay, so if you go through the scheduling of the recurring invoices, and what I was trying to do was like I have one customer, and he wants me to send the invoice out in the middle of the month so he can pay it by the 1st of the next month. Right. So by your system, it says I can send the invoice out 15 days before, and the payment should be then still the day that he should be paying. But when I key that in, it just gives me some completely different information about when that's going to be paid, and it's not what I want.
You are enabling auto payments. Is that the case, right?
That was another issue because I enabled auto payment. Then I tried to turn it off and it wouldn't let me turn it off.
Yeah, that was a bug. I saw your ticket as well, and we have fixed it. As of now, if you try to turn off that auto payment toggle, so that will work. Yeah, today only we fixed it. I saw your ticket yesterday night, so we have fixed it. You are able to turn off the toggle in auto payments now. And regarding your first query, that if you select 15 days in advance, so basically I'll tell you how it works. If you don't enable auto payments, and you only want to send out the invoice and give the option to the end customer to pay, then it will send out the invoice 15 days in advance for you. So the end customer receives the invoice, they have a payment link ready before 15 days of actual due date. Okay. But in case
that it's still due on the date it's supposed to be due.
Correct. And they will have the payment link there, and the due date, let's say the due date is 1st of October. And you are sending it 15 days in advance. That means 15th of September. So the invoice gets sent out on 15th of September. It is mentioned that 1st October is the due date. But since you have not enabled auto payments, the customer in the duration from 15th September to 1st October has to come into that invoice, click on pay, enter the card details and pay for your invoice, right?
Fine, yeah.
But if you enable auto payments, and say that, okay, I want to enable auto payments, send invoice 15 days in advance and due date is 1st of October. So how it works is that in X days in advance, that is 15 days in advance, we send a message to the end customer, an email stating that I am going to debit this much amount on this particular card of yours ending with last 4 digits on this particular day. So this auto payment information, basically we are trying to communicate to the end customer that, okay, on 1st of October, you are going to get charged with this much money. So this information is basically getting to them 14 days in advance.
Which is fine. And he may actually change to the auto now.
Correct.
So I wanted to turn it off. He might actually go for the auto payment. I've just got to get that confirmed with him. But when I was keying all the data in, I couldn't get anything that said sent on the 15th, paid on the 1st. It just didn't say that. At the bottom, at the bottom it says what's going to happen when you key in those details. It says what's going to happen. It just didn't reflect that.
Got it. Can I share my screen? Probably we can look at it together right now. Just give me a minute. Okay, is it loading? Yeah, so when we enter inside to create a new recurring template,
Mhm.
so since let's say you are starting charging from the 1st of November, okay,
Mhm.
because October is just behind. Let's say you want it on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah.
On the date 1st of every 1 month, right?
Okay.
And the start date, let's say, is for you 1st of November, okay? And you can define that when do you want to end the invoice. Let's say you don't want to end it ever, so you can select never, or
Mhm.
if you want to end it after a specific date, so you can select that option, or after 6 occurrences, let's say, so you can select that option. Now, because you selected on the 1st of November only, it is showing here first invoice will be due on 1st November and sent on 1st November. But let's say I type in 14 here. So you see this information, this changes to 18th of October, which is 14 days in advance to November 1.
That's not what I got though. So I got to set it up on the first of every month, and starting in November the 1st, send invoices 14 days in advance, right? Okay. Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah,
but I couldn't get it to work.
But are you able to get it now?
I'll try it. I'll key it in. I'll let you know.
Angie, please,
Okay.
can you take a screenshot so that?
I've written it down, so I'm okay with that. Okay. And then my most pressing concern is because I am using this now completely to invoice all my customers. And I have to send my accountant the details of what's gone on, because now I'm not using Xero anymore. He's not seeing anything in Xero, so everything's here. And I need to send him a report at the end of every month to tell him what's gone on with all the invoicing. So there's two things. That is, one, there isn't a report to send him, but there is a report for paid invoices, which
there is.
Why, right? So it's got to be for everything. He needs to see everything keyed in for that month. So that's one thing. And there was something else as well. It's gone. I can't remember now what it was. But basically I need to be able to send the account. Oh yeah, the other thing was the manual payments. When you key in the manual payments, the manual payments show as being at the time you keyed it in. But my accountant needs to know the time, the date it went in, the date the person paid it. So for example, I might get an advice from a customer, or I might find out from my bank account that a customer has paid in 3 days ago, and I only find out today that he paid in 3 days ago. So I go to the manual payment, and when I key it in, I can key in the notes that he paid in 3 days ago, but what shows on the report on the screen is that it was paid in today, which is inaccurate.
That makes sense. Probably we should, that makes sense actually. And I think you sent it to us as well. I have heard it before as well. So that makes sense. And the export report as well, both of them make sense. And I can assure you that this is coming in this quarter, because we will work on both of them. Both of them actually make sense, both of your items, along with the ACH payments and the work that we are doing there. So this, and you can please try out this frequency settings and auto payments, and you can let us know if that does not work. I can probably drop my own email ID in here, and if you're not able to get that, so probably you can reach out to me directly as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we are at 2 o'clock, but I do want to make sure that I answer, or that we get all the questions answered. So are there any other questions, issues, concerns before this meeting is adjourned?
I would say one other thing that I think I raised in the when I raised my ticket several times is, you know, at the top you've got the different stats, like you've got overdue and the total. it would be nice to be able to see what's been paid as well.
Yeah, this also you have submitted to us. I can see all of this information. It is just that we need to get all of those. We are restricted by the resources we have. But
Okay.
yeah, I have seen all of this information. Now I get to meet you that where it was coming from. But yeah, I have that in my list, and probably in the coming quarter I will be able to update with you with all of these changes. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then the other thing that was brought up this week by my customer, the same one that was paying, thing is he went and paid the other day, yesterday, and he said there's no request for an OTP. Would that be something coming up? Because he sent me a message then to say, can you check you've been paid? Because I'm not sure this went through. Because he didn't get the usual security systems.
You can basically, what we are now doing is that we are introducing invoicing and all of the payment channels into automations as well. So I'm not sure what the use case of OTP is here, but if you want to get notified instantly when you want to receive a payment or you want to perform some action, so probably within the coming month, you will be able to do all of those as well.
So what usually happens here is if you, because this is what he was saying, he was concerned because he was like, there's no trust factor. That's what he was saying, was I'm not sure my payment's gone through because this isn't normal. So usually what happens when you make a payment is you key in your credit card details, you press submit, and then it says request OTP. So then that goes to your phone, and then you key in the code for the phone, and then the payment goes through.
Yeah, but I think it depends on the country's regulations, right? In some countries it is not necessary, but in some countries it is necessary to enter those OTP.
Right.
But as far as I can see, if the concern of the customer is to get assured that okay, the payment has reached the right way, I've not entered the details on any fraud link or something like that. We also send out a system default notification as soon as the end customer pays for the invoice. So they must be receiving a default notification from your location or your business in saying that, okay, thanks for your payment and we have received your payment. And you as a location user, like the business user, will also receive that notification. Yeah. So does that not solve the problem here?
I think it was just his concern was this isn't normal. That was his concern. Is like I've never come across this before. Because in the payments, yeah, it's always an OTP.
Got your point. Would like customizing the UI or providing like your business information there so that the end customer gets assured that I'm paying the right business owner, because while paying they're able to see your business information.
I think for him it's probably just a case of he was comparing whether I used to pay this way, which was through Xero, and this was my experience. And then he started to pay through Go High Level, and then it's a different experience. I think I mean, for future customers, it wouldn't be an issue, I guess.
What's OTP stand for?
OTP is a one-time password.
One-time password, yes.
It's like a double security. It's a 2FA security.
Prashant, I think Angie is talking about the 3DS system. Yeah.
2FA is the two-factor authentication. So you put your credit card details in, but the bank is saying that's not enough. I need you to send a code to the phone.
Yeah, but if I'm not wrong, I may be wrong here, but it depends on the countries. In some countries it is mandatory, but in some it is not mandatory. But
I don't know if here it's mandatory or not, but it's normal.
Okay.
It's normal that would happen. I'm in Singapore, so.
Got it. Cool.
And the other thing you were saying as well is Apple Pay, and would you be doing Apple Pay in future?
Yes, that is in our roadmap after coupons in order forms. So we will be working on that. We will be enabling Apple Pay as well as Google Pay on order forms as well as in invoices. So that's in our plan. You will be able to see that in the coming month probably, or by the mid of November, I would say it would be realistic. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, for all the feature requests. We love that. We love that feedback.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions before we end this meeting?
when's quotes and or estimates timeline?
Yes.
Estimates probably in Q1 of 23 is the timeline that we are looking at.
Okay.
Because we, as of now, we are concerned with like giving all of the customizing, like the templates or the notifications that you want to customize, start with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Klarna, and Affirm, buy now, pay later options. And once we have a robust system of the payment methods that we want to provide, invoicing is also solid. I think then it would make sense to introduce the estimates, and it will complete a flow right from estimation to contract signing to sending the invoice, then getting paid and sending the receipt. I think that will complete the flow there. Although there are a lot of things to do in here, but I think Q1 of 23 would be a realistic timeline. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nasa here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one more comment, is the view on the screen of the order of invoices is always the last invoice that you actually changed. So would there be a way for us to be able to see maybe invoices in invoice order or date order, that we'd be able to choose how we want to see them rather than it always just being because they're all out of order basically.
What would your preference be like? Like, how do you want to view the invoices list?
I think probably by invoice number would be the first preference. But then after that, being able to see them in date order and alphabetical order would be good as well.
Be able to change it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, be able to change how you want to see it. Yeah.
Got it. That seems like an easy thing for us. Probably we can incorporate that.
Because
Yeah,
for
I'll take a
example,
note
if
of
I mark an invoice as paid, for example, that goes to
that
the
will come
top
at
of
the
the
top. Yeah,
list,
yeah.
which doesn't make sense. No.
I know this is more about invoices, but in that vein of talking, I've looked up customers at like a list of customers, but they're not numbered. So if I want to find how many customers I have for this year, I have to count them all. Hundreds. I have to count one by one, because this is not like a little number of, if I could separate, I'm pretty sure I could separate, how many customers I have for this year, but it's just a list that's not numbered of, like what's my total customers. So side note, a little bit unrelated to invoicing, but
Jeremy, next Tuesday we have a webinar on CRM, which is like importing and managing your contacts and exporting them and all that stuff, with Jarvin, who's our SPM for support product manager for everything customer relationship management oriented. And he's going to be running that. So if you check the Go High Level events page, it'll be there either tomorrow, but by Monday, it'll definitely be up there for you to log in and sign up. I definitely recommend bringing that question on Tuesday.
Is that events.gohighlevel or is that?
It's gohighlevel.com/events. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
I've got one more comment. I put this in the comments before, but the difference between a customer and a contact also is something that has to be kind of stronger in a way.
Yeah.
Because what we're invoicing is we're invoicing the company, which is the customer. We're not invoicing the contact.
Yes.
So
and this is something that we have in our plan. Like, we introduced the subscription page, and I think it happens in most of the platforms like Square and others. They have a customers list. So we plan to do that as well. So just that we plan to do a lot of things there. But I have that in mind, basically the customers you are paying, and I think Square does that in that way as well. Like, you can see on a customer basis that how much due amount they have. You can automatically charge all of the due amount that they have. Is that the specific use case that you are looking at in here? Like,
no, so what I'm saying is you've got a list of contacts. So the contacts it can be individuals, and it can be people working in a company. So they represent the company, but they're not the legal entity of that company. They're not legally responsible for paying the invoices. So it's the company that's legally responsible. So you're invoicing the company, you're not invoicing the person. But when you invoice the company, the person's name comes next, and then their email, then their phone number, then the address of the company, which doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So really, it's like we need to take the contact out of the invoice and just have the company, because the company is the legal entity that has to pay it. Unless it's an actual individual, but then the individual will be like the company, if you like, right? And then to have maybe a reference field where we can put, okay, like if like for me, for example, if a customer engages me, they have to raise a purchase order. And then with the purchase order, I then usually in a reference field, I would reference the purchase order that they've given me, so they know what purchase order is related to that invoice I'm sending. So it's not really the person, it's not the contact they want to know about, is the purchase order. Or if I haven't got a purchase order, I can put the contact name of the person in the company so that they could go to that person and say, what's this invoice about? Can we pay it? Right, but it shouldn't be connected with the company address. We should have the company name, the company address on one side, and then you can reference the person on another side, perhaps separate from the company.
But I'm just thinking that you would have to create all of those companies manually. Is there a way that automatically, like a contact gets created as of now? A company cannot get created automatically. You have to enter those company details, save it as a contact, and then select the company in the invoice. Can you do that? Like, is it the correct?
It's just you have a weird system, I think, in this sense, is that it's all contacts, but a contact leaves a company. The company doesn't leave. Where our customer is the company, it's not the contact, because the contact will leave the company and go to another company.
I think from the agency perspective, that's what she's referencing. But this invoicing feature can also be used by the clients themselves to also invoice their customers.
Yeah, but every client will be invoicing companies basically, or unless they're coaches, they might be invoicing individual customers.
Or
but it's still the legal entity that they're invoicing, which is different from
there can be both the use cases. Actually, what you are saying is also correct, and they can invoice an individual as well. So actually both of the cases can exist, but I'm not sure of, because this we'll have to look at how contact gets created. How do we associate that to a company? I'll have to have a discussion with the
So
CRs.
for example, for Xero, for example, how we used to do it with Xero is that we would create the company, and then you would create the contact that goes with that company. So their first record is the company, and then within that company data, you'd have the contact person dealing in that company. And if you were invoicing an individual, we would set that individual up as a company.
Got your point. I'll need to take a look into this of the feasibility and how we can achieve this. But I get your point here. Yeah,
and then
I've never listened to this before.
When I create an invoice, I create an invoice for the company name. I start to enter the company name, then it brings across the record of the contact. It puts the contact in, and then by the time I finish creating the invoice, the company has disappeared. I have to then put the company name in again.
Yeah. Probably I need to take a deeper look into this. I'll update you once I am able to have a discussion. Yeah, but I get your point here.
Yeah, because
I'll have to take a look into this.
That we should be invoicing is that's the
yeah
thing.
that makes sense. It can be both the legal entity or the individual, but as of now we are doing it completely on the individual basis.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact is, the individuals that are named, like I've had one company that said to me, get my name off the invoice, it's got nothing to do with me. Yeah, because obviously they're not responsible for paying the invoices, the company.
Got it. I'll update you on this one once I'm able to check the feasibility here. Okay. I'll update you.
Okay, but you're doing a great job. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Prashant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this recording to the marketing team. They're going to upload to the YouTube channel, the YouTube playlist for training webinars. It is going to be a little delayed. Tuesday's webinar as well as today's webinar is going to be impacted because both of our marketing specialists are in the Tampa area as well as myself, and Hurricane Ian just kind of disabled a couple of things. So by Monday they should be uploaded. And if you guys need to reference them, I just put the link inside the chat. So feel free to ask any questions on the YouTube as well. I'm very present there, just checking the video comments if you guys have any questions about anything that was discussed. But until Tuesday, I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Say hi,
Thanks,
Emily.
everyone.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.